So now, our topic for this next hour is, have we met our most recent goals? This is the 5th TOS conference, International TOS conference, and what has become sort of a standard program for these conferences is that we do kind of past, present, and future. This is the past. At the TOS conference in Singapore, one of the last things that was done at that conference, and we will do that again at this conference, is that various countries will get together and talk about the goals that they want to set for themselves for their TOS programs in their country. And that was done in Singapore. Unfortunately, and we do it for the international. We'll do that part together. We do it internationally. Then we do it by country, and then within the country you can do local also. And the last time there was one of the delegates volunteered to put all of these together and to send them, and it got sent kind of late, and then I lost it. So I don't have the goals that were set up for the various countries. I do want them, or at least some of them, that were set up for the international. So we'll start with that, and then I will try to draw on your memories for the more the country and the more local goals. Okay. So one of the things that was what we said for international was. Annie Besant, as you know, we've said it several times already, started the TOS in February of 1908. It was 6 months after she became president of the Theosophical Society. And she did that for two reasons. One reason was at the behest of members who wanted to see the first object, and as you all know, the first object speaks to brotherhood. She wanted to see the first object, they wanted to see the first object put into action. So that was the initial impetus for the Theosophical Order of Service. And the other one was that there was a letter from one of the masters that was published in an early issue of early number of Lucifer. That in his quote, I have presentations on this, but that it wasn't appropriate for this particular thing. But in his quote, he says that the Theosophical Society should not just be talks and study and dissertations about this thing or that thing or the other thing. And this was in bold, or italics, one or the other. Theirs, not mine. The Theosophical Society must be made practical. And so from that was her other impetus for beginning the Theosophical Order of Service. When that was begun, we had two purposes, which are the same now as they were then. I'm trying to get the exact words. I have it here somewhere. Okay. Well, it was to serve humanity. Anyway, to serve humanity through whatever means, and I'm paraphrasing, through whatever means and possible and available. And the second purpose was the transformation of the soul of the server. That's a very quiet purpose. We don't talk about that much because if we did the service for that purpose, it wouldn't really be service, it would be selfish. And so that just sort of goes with the territory. You know, if you do this service and these kind acts and all of that with good intentions, the other purpose just naturally follows. Okay. So those were the two purposes. And when the TOS was initially set up, she had a very elaborate organizational chart. Any of you connected with business know the organizational chart. You know, you've got the president and then these things and then the departments and then the people under them and all that. It was really complex. And they did go by it for a while. And the person, of course, the president of the Theosophical Society is the ex officio president of the Theosophical Order of Service. And under him, he appoints an international secretary, which is my job. And the international secretary does all the work.
There is no religion higher than truth.
With the permission and agreement of the president. Okay, so anyway, that's the main was the main structure in the beginning, and then it goes into the directors of various sections or countries. So you have a director who's in charge there, and then they, depending on the country, different countries, it's kind of interesting, different countries operate differently as far as the TOS is concerned. And there's no hard and fast rule about how they have to operate. Some of them are independently registered in their own countries, in some cases because they have to be, like I know in Hungary, it's a legal thing. You have to be registered. And in the United States, it's registered also with the U.S. government, and that's because they have, you know, more business, more activity going on. So some countries are registered that way independently. They still kind of come under our umbrella, but legally they are independent. And then other ones just come under our umbrella. And although it's not hard and fast that this is the parent organization and this is the child organization. We know that, we all know that, we all go along and follow that kind of a pattern, but it's no kind of legal thing. Some countries have actual TOS membership. In India, the TOS is separate from the TS and has separate membership, and they charge dues separately from the TS. And that, I'm not sure if any other countries do that or how many of them do that. In some countries there is membership, but there's no dues. In other countries, like the United States, there is no actual separate listing of TOS membership. You can consider yourself a member, you're a member. You can be a TS member, or you don't have to be a TS member to be a member of the TOS. But it's not, there's no role, there's no actual membership list. So it just depends. And that might sound, you know, like it's not very put together well, but it works. You know, it's fine. Each country does its own thing. We do have some overshadowing rules that don't necessarily get followed. One of them is if the director steps down for any reason, that the position is supposed to be filled by the president of the TOS in conjunction with the president or general secretary of the country that this is in. What happens oftentimes, however, is that the TOS there just decides, okay, well, this person's leaving, we'll put that person in, and they do it. That is not really correct, and that particular one we would like to make correct, because, Tim's gotta do something. I'm really gonna hear about this later.
Not too much later.
No, really. Said with love. Okay. So that's sort of the general structure. And the TOS in all of these years since 1908 never got registered anywhere, not in any country, until last June. And in June of 2024, we are now registered, which was that's where I'm going with this, which was one of our goals from the last conference. So we are now registered as a nonprofit in the state of Illinois in the United States. Some people have asked, because we are headquartered in India, headquartered in India, why not India? Well, there's a very good reason for that, and I hope I'm not offending anyone, but Indian legal system is such that, especially once in donations or money goes into the country, it cannot be used outside of the country. We're an international organization. We receive funds from all over the world, and sometimes help needs to go to other places in the world. Well, if we were registered in India, we would not be able to do that. We would not be able to give that help. Whereas being registered in the United States, it's much more flexible. We can take the money from anywhere, we can send it anywhere. So that's why we did that in the United States. The next step is to become what in the United States is a 501c3 organization, which is a federally recognized nonprofit. And the paperwork for that has been started and is underway. Then, after that, some of our members want to see us affiliated with the United Nations. And I was told, and I was very much in favor of this myself, but I was told that the TOS in past years had tried to do this. And the reason that it wasn't done is because we are too diversified. We do education and animals and disaster relief and all kinds of different areas, whereas the UN wants you more focused. Is this a women's empowerment organization? Is this a animal beneficiary organization? Is this an educational organization? We do all of it. So we have to look into that a little more closely and see if there's somewhere within the UN that we can fit in, because I don't think we want to just limit ourselves. I think we want to keep going in the various directions that we're going in. Okay. Another one of our goals was that our website was becoming outdated, and since that time, the webmaster is no longer able to do that job, so we do not have a webmaster. And I had asked for assistance, and the TOS in Spain stepped up, and they are currently helping format and update our website. It is, yes. It has been a slow process, which is mostly my fault, because I have a heck of a lot of other things to do. And but we're getting there. And now that this conference is over and the planning for this conference is over, that will be, I promise, Alejandro, that will be one of my focuses, is to go back to help finish this website. Okay. And then other things like Facebook and Instagram and things like that, we need volunteers to help us with that. It seems to be the young people who excel in those kinds of things. So we'll have to see if we can find that. So that's the internet. Oh, and one of the other things that we did was that we wrote bylaws. We now have bylaws, and if you look in the handbook, which has also, this has been updated, we took out some of the articles, and we have 4 new articles. But if you look on page 3, it starts the bylaws of the Theosophical Order of Service, and in their entirety, they are in the handbook. So you can see what it was. We had a bylaws committee, which was me, Raika Nadar from the Philippines, and Ananya Sriram Rajan from the USA, and of course everything was run by Tim and approved by Tim. And we set up these bylaws, and they're here. So step by step, it's been a slow process. I admit that, and that's my fault. But it is coming together. It's coming together. So we have the bylaws in there, and before the bylaws, at the third conference, that was when the handbook was first introduced, I think. And they had what they called the Principles of Organization, and had this whole list of things. And some of the things in the Principle of Organization are not things that belong in bylaws, but they are extremely important and explanatory. And so they start on page 8, addendum to the bylaws, and talks about the mission, the aims, organizational structure, some of the things, some of the historical background is in there, and just different the responsibilities of the National Director, the Coordinator, the President, the International Secretary, all kinds of things like that. So that's in there. And while I'm on the subject of the handbook, one thing I didn't say last night was that if you look at the back pages, this page just before the back cover is actually a brochure, which you can copy, and we will, once we get our act together better, have it on the website, and it might already be translated into very different languages, but if not, we can do that. And it's like a trifold thing that you could use as a flyer for your organization. And then the back cover is actually a poster. It's this size because this is the size of the paper, but you can expand that and it can be used also. All right, so that's the international report. So what about some of the local areas? Do you remember, and if anybody would like to speak up, do you remember what some of your goals were for your sections or countries, and how are you doing in meeting those goals? Yes, Renee, thank you.
Thank you. We were wanting to work on getting more of a team together.
First of all, Renee is from New Zealand.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Oh,
It's hard to stand up.
yes,
Anyway,
just had an operation.
So we were working on getting more of a team together rather than just 1 or 2 people. So we now have a team of 5 or 6 people, and that is helping distribute a little bit more, and we're hoping to get our young ones more involved in the social media side as well. But it is hard to pin them down, we're finding. So.
Is this a good time to talk about that little book?
No, we're doing that this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Can I respond to the
Sure.
membership of United Nations that you mentioned?
Yes.
I'm DN Party from India. Now, I understand anxiety to become a member of the United Nations or some recognition by the United Nations that you are doing some work for the people, a service to the society, the community, with no self-interest. Now, about 25 minutes away from Chicago is a place known as Evanston. Now, Evanston is the headquarters of the Rotary International. It was founded in 1905 in Chicago. Later on, shifted to Evanston because of the land issue. They wanted a huge place. Now, like you have a Theosophical Society, I will not say you, we have a Theosophical Society with him as the president. We also, and you have this Theosophical Order of Service, which is the service arm, as if you say, of the Theosophical Society. As you said, membership could be, it's almost automatic on the two sides. We also have, I'm sorry I said we because I'm a former Rotary governor. I've been associated with Rotary International for 52 years. Now, we have also something known as the Rotary Foundation. That is a service arm. They get contributions from all over the world and they also are able to send it out. They have this diverse equipment about, I think the broadsheet is about 45, 50 kinds of projects going around the world. So what they have done is, because that's a foundation of the Rotary International, the TS can be given if we apply through them, can get an advisory status. Not TOS, but TOS gets automatically recognized because it's a service arm of TS. So that when you explain the problem, that we have so many schemes and they said, no, we want something which is this area or that area, they would say, we have this principle, this is our vision, this is our mission, and we are doing good for the world, for everybody. It's no, the only self-interest is the betterment of the people and the society. It's possible, and this has been done. You can take that model. Theosophical Society could be made they could accept you as an advisor. I'm addressing them. That's why I said you. And automatically TOS gets into it. And the good thing you did was having that not-for-profit organization or an endowment, whatever it is, in the United States is a good idea. Because ours also is there in Chicago, Evanston. So that's one. Number two is that in India, as you mentioned, that the money which comes in doesn't go out. But what the Rotary Foundation found a solution to this is that in every country, they had discussed with the Reserve Bank of India, is what we call the controlling bank of the government. And then what happens is, suppose we make a donation to the Rotary International, the Rotary Foundation, that is reported to the Reserve Bank of India. And they say, okay, that money stays in India currency limit, like we do in international trade, INR. So it stays in India, but in the accounts of Rotary Foundation. So if they sanction a project in India to a particular club, or a particular district, as we call it, the jurisdiction, the money is released by them, sanction is given by them, money is released in India by the India office of the Rotary Foundation. So there is no problem there, but it's good that you have done it in Chicago, and that money is there. But if you get a sanction to New Zealand, and the New Zealand money, which is, if suppose is there, you're in dollars, isn't it, New Zealand? Then money stays in there, designated, denominated in US dollars. But you say we sanctioned so much of money for some project of theirs, that money will go to them not as US dollars, but will go as Canadian dollars from the Canadian authority. So this is how it happens in international trade also. When we have a trade, say from, of course, USA, United States commercial trade, There's no trial. It's a letter of intent from the letter of credit, as they call it, on both sides. And then money gets only transferred from bank to bank. And in the currency of the country, because US currency is not tradable in India. Indian rupees similarly not tradable in USA. So these are all been settled matters worldwide. And perhaps we can get into this. And whichever country permits you to give a direct thing, and it can be directly from Chicago headquarters. Those countries like India, we have certain restrictions. Maybe they'll open up very soon. In that case, you can go through this route. There's no problem. And your dream will be fulfilled.
Okay,
Member of the United Nations
Okay.
as an advisory status.
thank you. All of the TOS groups have done goodwill, and I'm sure many, many individuals have as well. And I'm reminded that our Mustaq from Pakistan brought some leaflets from Pakistan. There aren't enough to give to everybody. I think he has about 50. But if you see him, he's the man back there with his hand raised. Raise your hand again, or stand up, yes. If you see him, you could get some of that paperwork from him. There were one or two other people who approached me about different things that their groups are doing. We will have the program this afternoon that begins at 2 is a sharing program. I call it grassroots because it's from the local areas. And we have a 2-hour period. We actually have 11 reports, so I hope that works okay. They're supposed to be fairly short, and there are 11 different countries who will be presenting. Most of them have PowerPoints or videos, who will be presenting what they are doing in their countries. So from that, I think we'll be able to get a pretty good idea of what's possible. You might be surprised at how diverse some of these activities that the different groups are doing are. And I know every year when I get the reports from all of you, the last 2 years especially, I've really been struck by the creativity and the innovation of some of the groups, of things that they have done. But I will let their presentations speak for themselves, and maybe add on a couple of things if their presentations don't show those things. But anyway, and also I think that will give us a good idea of the fact that I think most groups have actually fulfilled many, at least, of the goals that they set for themselves 7 years ago. One of the other programs that we're going to be doing, and I think it's this afternoon, is awakening awareness, more awareness of the TOS within the TS, and comparing and contrasting. And I have been asked a couple of questions about that. On page 2 of our handbook, what is the relationship between the Theosophical Society and the Theosophical Order of Service? So I suppose I could go into a little bit of that. And I did mention that Annie Besant started the TOS in 1908, and to actively promote the first object of the society. Most TOS groups operate simply as an autonomous department of the TS in their country. Over the decades, around half a dozen TOS groups have become legally registered, often because of the extensive nature of the community work they do. But this does not mean they are apart from and outside the TS. Okay, and the TOS places the utmost importance on a harmonious working relationship with the TS. Its dearest wish is to support the TS as a place where social action as spiritual practice is valued and actively nurtured. Though the TOS is not present in all countries where the TS is active, it is growing and aspires to become of greater and greater support to the TS in making the teachings of Theosophy of transformative value in the world. It provides a focal point and group context where TS members and friends may work along self-selected lines of service for the uplifting of humanity and the protection of the planet. Okay, and it has been said by various people that Annie Besant did want to keep the TS separate from the TOS, in that she was a social activist her whole life, Annie Besant, and she recognized, and this is my opinion, I guess, she recognized that the TS was not a social activist organization. It was there for studying theosophy, for growing, for those kinds of things. Whereas the TOS was, again, to make active the idea of brotherhood that's put forth in the first what do we call object? Sorry, thank you. The first object of the society. The TS, as Tim pointed out, does not get involved in any kind of political activity. In India and in the United States, and I'm sure in other countries, it expressly says when you apply for nonprofit status, that you are not allowed to specifically endorse any candidate, this is the biggest thing, for political office. Nobody, no one particular person by name. And pretty much, I think pretty much every country follows that rule. I know it's true in the US and I know it's true in India. Even then, you can do a little, you can dabble in things that lobbying groups put forward. And we have so many different various social kinds of activities going on in the world today. I mean, there are the women's rights issues, children's rights, human rights, animal rights, the ecology, racial issues, gender issues, all kinds of things that are prevalent in the world today that people either propose or don't. You know, they're on the other side of those issues. And the TS there's no place in the TS for concentration on any of that kind of thing. And as far as the legalities go, you can do some of it, you can do it to a certain point, but if you get to the point where you're actually a lobby for something, that's not allowed. Now that is not only true for the TS, it is also true for the TOS. Many people think that the TS can't do this, but for some reason the TOS can. The rules are actually the same for both groups. It's more a choice, I think, that the TS has chosen to concentrate on its focal areas of study, the ancient, the ageless wisdom, and self-transformation, the oneness of all life. I mean, these are theosophical tenets that the TS focuses on. The people in the TS, who are mostly TS members, also focus on those, but their main activities are more humanitarian, hands-on based activities. And we can do that, that's legal, as long as we don't really get involved to the point where we are actually being a lobby for something. So there's probably, I guess it's a fine line there. So far, we've never crossed that line, which is a good thing. Um, but that's what it is. It's not that there are different rules for the TS and the TOS. The rules are actually the same, but there are different focuses by our own choices, our own choice. The TOS does not see its role as peripheral to the work of spreading theosophical teachings, nor does it see itself as simply duplicating the work of humanitarian groups. That's another thing where people have said, some people have said, why bother with the TOS? We have the Red Cross, we have these other organizations that do similar work. Well, okay, that's true. We are smaller, and we tend to work on a more localized basis than these huge organizations. When it comes to disaster relief in particular, places like the Red Cross and some of these other aid organizations are what are called first responders. So they're in there, they're bringing water, they're bringing food, they're setting up shelter for people for a temporary basis and all of that. The people in the TOS, the ones who help, are usually from that area. They're local people, and they respond like in the second phase. Once that initial response has taken place and the people are stabilized a little bit, then the TOS people come in and they help them get reset up. They help. They might help. Some places have helped with rebuilding homes, with drilling boreholes for water, clean up things. We have this a little peripheral thing. We have several groups who knit teddy bears. It has been shown by psychologists that little children benefit from having something soft and cuddly, a friend to hang on to when they're going through devastating things, like an earthquake or a flood or war. And this helps the children. So we have several groups. England is the most proficient. They've done tens of thousands of these teddy bears and shipped them to various countries. Italy also does that kind of work. I think Belgium was trying it. I don't know how well they succeeded with that. But there are other places as well. And we've had some groups, some countries give to children in other countries, and which brings me to another thing. One of the other things that the TOS does is that countries help each other. If Deepa Hadi is excellent at coming up with things, that's different service projects to do. One of the things that her group in Odisha, Bhubaneswar does is they have scholarships for young women. The focus on the women's issues came out of that area from Deepa, and they've made great strides. We've kept it as a principal focal point for the whole international program. And so what they do is they give a 5,000 rupee scholarship to 27, is it 27? 27 young women, and I think there might be a couple of young men in there too, each year. And the TOS in Italy has matched that amount. And so, yes, there we go. So these young women are getting 10,000 rupees towards their further education. So this is for higher education. Another thing that has happened also with Odisha Bhubaneswar is that they run a vocational training, which consists mostly of teaching women sewing on machines, and these are normally women from the lower income areas In India, they're called slums. In the United States, we don't like that word anymore, so that's why I'm not using it. But they're from lower income areas, and in that case, it's mobile. They move the sewing machines to the area where the women are. The women are not expected to come to them. They go to the women. And the TOS in New Zealand a couple of years ago donated a number of sewing machines to Odisha for this purpose. Also in Pakistan, there is what is known as the Kandil. Did I say that right? Kandil. Thank you. Schools, these are home schools for children, mostly girls, who would not otherwise get an education. They are from, again, economically constrained areas and areas where, correct me if I'm wrong, Mustaq, but areas where young girls are not considered, that they don't need an education or.
These are marginalized community. They live in shanty towns
Okay.
and they have no money.
Okay, so he said these are marginalized communities, they live in shanty towns, they have no money. So a woman will volunteer to be the teacher, and she will dedicate one room of her two-room home towards the classroom for these children. And it costs, how much is it now?
$16.50 US, but some countries pay in their local currency.
Okay.
The teacher's got to go out and find those children
Okay.
herself in the community. She's got to hunt them
So
up
the
and bring them.
teachers go out and find the children to bring into these schools, and it costs about $1,650 US per year to fund these classrooms. And
25
so,
to 30 children.
I'm like,
25 to 30 children in that school.
okay, 20.
Makeshift school,
okay, 25 to 30 children. That's in each one.
each one.
Okay. And so the New Zealand funds a couple of these, two of these schools. I know Australia funds at least one, and I believe Italy funds another two. And is there any other
Spain.
countries?
Spain,
Spain funds.
Australia,
Australia? Yeah, okay. So, so that's another way is that we're helping each other in those ways. In the well, actually not just in the U.S. In the U.S., in the Philippines, there is the Golden Link College. And a number of years ago, one of the members from the United States, John Kern, offered a matching grant for donations to the Golden Link College. So what happened, in order to get that matching grant, we said, okay, any country that wants to donate to this, send the money to the United States. We will collect it all together, and then the Kern Foundation will match this grant all together, so that you're not doing it one at a time, and you are doing it in a country, an area where there is this matching grant. So that's been done for many years, and there's been hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years that have been sent in this way to help the children at the Golden Link College. And and this may have changed, but the last numbers I have is that 80% of the children there are on scholarship. Is that still correct?
More or less.
More or less, okay. So there's that as well. And many of the country of your countries also give money to the Alcott Memorial Higher Secondary School, which is the one that's on our campus, our land. And that's been going since 1894. We've heard that a couple of times this past week. And it was founded by Colonel Alcott for children of the lowest caste in India who were actually not allowed to go to school at that time. He developed these schools, and they have been going continuously since then. And they have never had any assistance from government or any kind of thing like that. They run strictly on donations, and many of you have helped with that. Also with the Social Welfare Center that is on the campus of Adyar, and this is for little children. It's like a daycare center, and they learn numbers, and they learn their alphabet, they learn beginning English. And Montessori, yes, they teach by the Montessori method. And many of you have helped there as well. And a big, big, big favorite, which is also on our campus in Adyar, is the Besant Memorial Animal Dispensary. And that has been incredible. I think Tim talked about that the other day. Shravan Krishnan, is that his name? Shravan Krishnan is the leader there. He's a young man. He's been there about the same time I've been there, 7-8 years. And he just turned the place around. It had gotten kind of run down and all of that. He turned it around. We have 250 or so dogs and cats that reside there, plus the ones that live on our campus and roam, and they feed them every day. It's kind of interesting to me because you go into the gates and you have the guards there, and many dogs are traditionally guard dogs. So there are always a number of dogs hanging out with the guards at the gates. That's their job. So there's that. And then they have
25,000 surgeries last year.
And they did. There are 7 or 8 doctors, 7 or 8 veterinarians on the payroll there that the TS pays. And they did 25,000 surgeries last year. Many of these surgeries are what they call ABC, which is forget it. But anyway, they're the spaying and neutering, and they will go around. They have a couple of ambulances, animal ambulances. One of them for larger animals like horses and cows and stuff and such. They will go around the community and they will pick up the stray dogs and cats carefully because some of them are not real friendly. And they will bring them back to the dispensary. They will spay or neuter them, and then they will take them back to the location where they came from. And we call them community dogs and cats. The people in those local areas do sort of treat them as pets, but not individually owned pets, and they do feed them and everything. But this is, our attempt to animal birth control, ABC. Animal birth control. This is our attempt to keep the population of the stray dogs and cats down. And they also give them their shots for rabies and distemper and all of that.
And they also do a lot of surgery for rescue animals, and broken bones,
They do.
shelter.
They do. Every once in a while, the residents they'll send pictures of a dog with some horrible thing that happened with its eye, and the vets there have fixed it. Not necessarily pretty, but it's okay now. Or they'll fix the broken legs and things like that. We had a camel for a while. It died of old age. And during the COVID period, there used to be people, there may still be, but there were people who gave horse rides on the beach. We're not very far from the beach at the Bay of Bengal. So there were various people who gave, but during the COVID period, they couldn't afford to feed their animals anymore. So they would just leave them there. And so our people picked up some of them. Some of them they purchased. Actually, I purchased one. But some of them they purchased, and others they just picked up because it wasn't obvious who their owners were. Skin and bones, you could count their ribs. It was very sad. So they took them to the animal dispensary and they fed them and took care of them. So we have horses, we have donkeys, baby donkeys that have been born there. We have the one camel, there are pigs. I think they have some goats.
We did surgeries on, well, for the government brings their cases that they can't have them.
That's-
Large snakes, for instance.
That's true. And yes, in the last couple of years, the government of India has started bringing severe cases to our dispensary. And we got an award, some kind of a commendation from the government of India for doing that. And actually, I think we did get a little bit of monetary remuneration from that at one time too. And we also they help with the turtle project. There's a turtle project that I believe is mostly run by one of the universities there. The sea turtles come in and they lay their eggs in the sand. And so we go in and find the nests, and then they put the turtles into a incubated place or wherever they will be safe, because otherwise they're dug up by the dogs and eaten. So, yeah, so they do that, and so they keep these little baby turtles, the eggs, and then the little hatchlings safe. And then they let people know, I think it's usually in April, when they're big enough to go back to the sea. So it'll be at night, and you go there, I've done it once. You go there, and then they flip over these baskets that have hundreds of little baby turtles in it, and the turtles will walk towards the water. Sometimes they turn around and go the other way, and people will pick them up and turn them around. What they're doing, I understand, is going towards the light. So it's at night. Thank you. Thank you. So they go towards the light. So at night, that would be the moon, usually. But behind us is also the city, and which has lights. So sometimes the little turtles get confused and they go the wrong way. But that's one of the things they do too. Also, when we've had some flooding several times in Chennai, and Shravan, he knows so many people. He knows these people who have boats, like rowboat type things, and they have gone out into the city and rescued people from their homes. In one case, it was one of the men who works in my department. He and his wife got stranded in their house. I think there were electrical wires and stuff, that they needed to be very careful of. And so our people came, literally lifted them up out of their house because it's flooded, got them into the boats, and then they brought them to our campus where we housed them until they could go back home again. But they have done that, and not only have they rescued people, they've also rescued animals and even snakes. Shravan is a snake expert, and we do have snakes on the property. You don't see them very often, but we actually have cobra, and of course rat snakes, which are non-venomous. But there's so much that they're doing, and as I started, I really diverted. But as I started, that is one of the favorite areas of our various TOS groups, you people, to donate money to. Okay, so how is the? Oh, okay. So it's lunchtime. So we will have our lunch, and then at 2:00 we come back here, and at 2:00 we will see some of the activities of 11 of our countries, presented by people who are representing those countries. Thank you.